Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraint of filters in a world saturated with highlight reels. We dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, and to be moved, be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I am the owner of Valüd Productions. My company works to produce and implement video marketing strategies. I'm one of your co-hosts here today. Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast. I am joined with my awesome co-host.
Hello, everyone. Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach. I help my clients go from survival mode to thrival mode. I own The Trinity Baker. You can find me on social media, The Trinity Baker, and I am joined here with my amazing co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it too. We are here with our wonderful guest today.
I'm Jason Gootman, and I'm a wellness coach. To put it in very simple, very unfiltered terms, there are a lot of people who want to eat better, exercise more, otherwise take great care of themselves, and they struggle to do so. I help them do it.
Amazing. We all need someone to help us be our best selves. And Jason, you do exactly that. So we're so pumped to have you on today.
I'm excited to be here.
Go ahead, Daniel.
So before the podcast started, we were all kind of chatting about how we were migrating to traveling for work and thought we would kind of tap into that subject and what it's like to transition to more traveling, or hear from Jason, who kind of regularly travels for his job, and any tips he can give us to kind of prepare for that transition in our businesses.
Hashtag location freedom. It's all about that location freedom where you can still do your business, and like you said, like Danielle said, Jason, you can travel and still experience all that stuff.
I love, Jason, you take traveling to a different level though. What we were just talking about is like more than just travel, because what you use travel to experience where you're going, but you also use travel to get a new perspective on life. And so tell us a little bit about that. Let's get back into that conversation, because I think it is really important, because there's many of our listeners who travel. Many people travel, right? Not necessarily for their business, but you give it a whole new perspective. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think a fun thing to start with is that haven't historically been a big traveler. I haven't, before 4, maybe 5 years ago, I hadn't traveled very much at all. And it was at some point in the early part of the pandemic when I realized I could, and I realized if I wasn't going to start doing it then I might never. And I think what hit me was it's just eminently possible now for so many more of us. You don't have to have sort of a uniquely remote job, or you don't need to have a ton of money. That it was possible, and so I said I'm going to go for it. And the first year I did that, and intentionally, one thing that grounded me was my business is a client serving business, and I always thought I couldn't leave here because I couldn't leave here for more than a short period of time because they need me. And but the pandemic made it so that every one of my clients was working with me online, as was true at the time for many physicians, many counselors / therapists. So I said, I'm going to go away for 2 weeks, run my business from wherever I go to, and sort of see if anybody notices that I'm not there. I actually did play it that way. I didn't, that first 2-week trip, I didn't tell people I was in a different location. I was one time zone away, and I figured I could just see if, I told people in my personal life I was going to be away, but I didn't tell my clients I was going to be away. And it went off without a hitch. It totally worked. I not only did it work with my existing clients, but my marketing continued to work. And I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. And I enjoyed the experience of being in a new place that I said, I want to do this more. And 2 weeks wasn't nearly enough to really experience a place. So the next year I did 5 weeks. And now I don't do less than 5 weeks. I want to go to, I don't want to visit a place. I want to live there temporarily. It's kind of the way I think about it.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Total experience of the place, right?
Yeah, I think of it as a little vacation every day. I still do almost as much work as I do, but I'll start earlier and end earlier so that I can be out most afternoons at 3 p.m. And I intentionally, leaving from Maine, I'm going to places where it's very nice weather at the time. So I'll have from 3 p.m. till the end of the night, till I want to go to bed, and it'll still be warm outside, still be pleasant outside. It's still be getting dark, usually 7:30, something like that. But I have that's 3-4 hours to have an adventure and do something.
I love.
Yeah, so I don't, because I tell myself, and then if I ever am feeling like a little tired or the weather's not good, I say, you're only here 5 weeks. You're not going to experience this place from your Airbnb. So I get myself out doing something almost every day. I mean, I'm not, if I really need to chill out, I need some solitude, I'll, read a book in my Airbnb or something, one of those, here and there, but really just try to get out, immerse in that place. One thing that's cool about that is, you're just like at our homes, right? Like you start to see the rhythms, like you see the time of the day when the postal carrier comes, or if you go where you go food shopping, you notice that the clerks that are there on certain days. I start to notice the patterns of the people living there. So it gets, because I'm just not a tourist. That's what I don't want to do when I travel. I don't want to go to a place, just see the tourist things and then go home. I kind of want to be like, what's it like to live in Austin or Savannah or Charleston? I think working there is part of what helps me not feel like a tourist, because I have a day like everyone else. I gotta work. I gotta make food for myself. I gotta take care of business. Keep my life going, and I'm just doing it in a different place.
I love
That's
that.
a really unique way to approach traveling, and I don't think we just look at it like that. I also like when you were discussing it before we jumped on the podcast, is it reminded me of something that I take from Albert Einstein. So he ran into a mental block. So he got a job at a warehouse.
Wow.
It was just passing, whatever it was. And then poof, the epiphany came that the answer he needed. And you were talking about how this shift in truly living and experiencing somewhere else, how you get to truly live and experience your home in a different way because of that. Can you tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I love what I do, and I love a lot of the aspects of my life at home, and I don't think there's a way to not have it become somewhat routine, right? Like, I write on certain days, I network on certain days, I see clients on certain days, and if I'm not careful, that can become sort of rote. And traveling takes me doing the same activities and shakes them up. Everything just looks, it's like a snow globe or something like that. I'm in a different, everything's all, I'm doing a lot of the same things. Or like Albert Einstein going and putting himself in a different setting. He's still got his same history, his same biases, his same way of looking at life, but all of a sudden he's in a different snow globe and everything looks a little different. And I could see that, shaking up his creativity and all kinds of things. That's what me putting myself in another place does for me during that time. And then, as we were talking about earlier, I do my best to keep that going when I return. Just to say, well, what's neat is the return, it almost happens automatically because it is kind of like seeing Portland for the first time again because I've been away long enough. The key is when I'm back home for an extent, for several months in a row, to whatever it takes to use Mondays or to use the first of the month or to use the changing of the seasons, to use something to keep me out of those doldrums of complacency and taking life for granted. And what I don't want to do is live my life like, that idea of you can be driving on the highway and half hour passes and you're like, oh, I didn't even see, I missed the Kennebunk exit. I didn't even see it. Right. I don't want to live my life that way. I want to, savor each day, and traveling helps me do that. But as we were talking about, Danielle, not just the traveling, but also the coming back. And then what that does for me to remind me that it serves as a restart or an awareness activity that I can use even if I'm not going to be constantly traveling, I can kind of use the lesson of that in other ways.
I totally dig that. I mean, I've traveled more this year than I ever have in my entire life, like going to California and North Carolina and Florida for work stuff. You know what I mean? Like where I get to help clients, but then, like you said, have the time in the afternoon to go to the beach or whatever. And I like what you said as using it when you get back too, because it also, for me, is like a motivator to do stuff, because it's like, oh, okay, I got to make sure that my ducks are in a row so that I can get set up for that next one. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's get stoked for that next trip. Where are we going next? And be able to help that as like motivation for my business, for just life, and everything like that.
Yeah. And I try to use it, like take a Sunday as a good example. I try to ask myself something like, if I was currently on vacation in Portland, what would I do today? Because, or not, vacation probably isn't the right word, because like I said, I do more than go on vacation on these trips. But if this was my first time here, what would I do today? And I would definitely seek out a cool nature spot, or I would seek out a cool museum or a cool music venue, or the kind of things I definitely make sure I do when I'm away. And I think any reminders that help us say, like, today's the most important day of our lives, let's savor it, that's helpful to me.
I think it comes with age. Like referring to life as eating, because you keep saying like a word that makes me think of like consuming really good food, savoring. So my mind is like looking at life like a really good meal all of a sudden, like, and I get it. That's such a great analogy. But I also think it's just really comes with age. I don't, not like old, but like wisdom, off of experience, because I just remember the fast life. Remember thinking you were going to go was quick and fast. And when you realize that where you want to go is really slow and steady. So I like, at least my life, I don't know about y'all's personalities, but listen. And then it was in environments like Miami looked like New York. You talk about like things being like cobblestone or original. And I just remember when you were talking about that, I thought of those two places and they couldn't fool me because it was so uniformed and like just like wasn't, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt very...
You're creative on a whole nother level though. Like you recognize those things.
Yeah.
I look at it and be like, oh, that is totally, old. And you'd be like, no, they just put that in last.
Yeah.
True. Like, oh, well, thanks, Danielle. I love what you say, Jason, though, because like, I think if you look at all of our professions, so you've got Graham, who helps people use the power of video to really share what they do and what they're passionate about and how they serve. And you got Danielle, who helps people really look at their bodies in a different way and look at movement in a different way and use their artistic abilities mixed with their body movement. And then you have you and I, Jason, who like, I help people with their lives you help people with their health. And if you look at the way that we all four of us help people, we help them be more present, which is exactly what you're talking about. We help them be in the moment and change their perspective and look at life with a different lens, in a way of like totally all different, but similar to what we do, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of cool the professions that we're in and we're having this conversation.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, different lens, love that analogy. It's like where there's the camera body and that's our body, and then you can change out the different lenses, depending on where things are going. It's a great analogy. I love that.
Yeah.
It kind of it takes off like the rose-colored glasses. So sometimes I think it's in reverse. It's not necessarily a new perspective. It's kind of like a fresh start.
Yeah. Which we need. I mean, we need, like, I remember, so like personally, I worked with Jason as my health coach, and like I had been on my health journey. I needed a new lens to get to the next level of my health journey, right? So like I work with, not everyone who's in survival mode is first introduced to personal development with me. Sometimes they've been in personal development and on this journey for years, and they're just stuck at a certain level. And so it's just a new perspective that they're getting from me to next level. So like Graham, you may work with people who have been using video, but like are stuck. They're not getting what they want, right? So you're taking them to the next level. And Danielle, like when I started doing aerial with you, like I had been moving my body, just not in that way. And you taught me that whole next level. Like you can do something that's really fun that no one calls working out, but it's working out.
And I also think that what my art brings is you all of a sudden won't see climbing a cliff as scary or not as scary or impossible, because some people literally, adults especially, even walking up to my spinning hoop to sit on to take a picture, in their freaking mind, they don't even know how to lift up to sit back, that they've lost that inner child so far gone that they think just sitting on the thing is mission impossible. And it is like, while I'm not making fun of that, I remember jumping over a tire after giving birth, and it somehow felt scary at a CrossFit thing. I don't know why I was jumping, just felt like fear. I don't know, it was strange, but I get it. And it's like ripping off that Band-Aid of fear, and people start looking at movement and exercise in a whole different light. That is possible. It just brings a certain level of possible to physicality. And yeah, that's what I think, because it's so dramatic and it so seems like the most impossible thing in the world. So when someone does it, they're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'm still alive. And that happened. Oh my God. And then the woman's that like, look, I'm a gymnast. They're like, I just wanted to do that. And like revert to a child. So that's one thing I like about my art form, is it goes beyond just like kind of working out. It just makes everything else seem possible.
Yeah. I love that concept too, because I think we all kind of see those moments when working with our clients. Because like I as you were saying that, I was just thinking about like times where I work with people and the shoot goes extremely easy, and they're just like, oh wow, like we've already got everything that we need done, and it's like, yeah, you're good.
Video. People do not want to be on video.
Oh yeah,
They want to be on video. They do not.
Yeah, exactly.
Running the meeting, and we did like a couple video meetings, and there were a few people that like, and I was like, really? It's like that for you? And I was like, oh, okay, I forgot that's like a fear too.
Exactly. And then when they get through it, they're like, oh, and it's that same eye-opening realization of like they just hopped on the hoop. And I'm sure Trinity, you and Jason, you see that all the time as well.
Yeah. I love, Jason, you share a lot of client like testimonials with like screenshots of text, right? Obviously you're removing information, but I see that in those messages. It's like you are showing them what they may have thought was impossible is actually possible.
Yeah.
And they have the power to do it, right? And so I love that. I love your client testimonials because it is always just inspiring to see that.
That's the best part about being a wellness coach. It's the nutrition stuff is interesting. The exercise stuff is interesting. the outer transformations, whether that's losing weight or improving biometrics, is super fascinating and interesting and fun. But a person becoming empowered that's
the best.
Yeah.
It is the best. Like, I don't want to get too personal, but like women will come in from like a heartbreak or just like these really like, because I don't know, when you're exercising, people tell you what they're going through. It becomes very intimate. And it's the most rewarding thing in the world to see them like 6 months to a year. I'm like, that's my like, when I'm in an arrogant kind of place in life, I'm like, 6 months with me, you're a different person.
Yeah, no.
And I can't wait to meet that person.
I think that we all could say that. I think that the one of us here could say, give me 6 months and you're going to completely transform what you're coming here to do with us.
Well,
And
I hear where you're coming from, Danielle, that saying that could feel arrogant or be perceived as arrogant. And I would feel similarly saying similar things. But there's also a real humility in it, in the sense that I think it's human nature. I think what we're here to do is help each other do stuff. And work got misconstrued at some point as like the thing to do to make money so you can buy stuff. And of course, part of work is making money so you can pay your bills and meet your needs. But I think that the true flavor of true work is I've got a passion and a skill set, and it's like old-fashioned bartering. I'm gonna share it with you to help you with something you could use help with, and you're gonna pay me money for it. And then, like, there's this diagram of like we're all interconnected little circles. So I'm doing that for some people are doing that for me. My clients are doing that for other people in their work lives, and it's actually, when I think about all the like macro conversations about making our world a better place, I think unfortunately most people bypass what I'm talking about now, and they think that like someone with a magic wand is going to make our whole world a better place. I think it happens at this grassroots level of Danielle making 25 people's lives better this year, and Trinity doing that, and Graham doing that, and me doing that. And if we're all doing that, all that grandiose, bigger picture stuff, it'll be better.
it's the ripple effect. It's the ripple effect, because the 25 people we work with this year are all parents, spouses, partners, grandparents. They all have different roles. And it's so funny. I was just talking to a client about this before this call, is that when we step into this greatness, whatever it is, right? So like Graham, you're taking business owners to that next level. Well, then the people that they're working with get to their next level, and then they get to their next level, and they affect the people around them. And so it's a ripple. So if we take the 25 people we're each working with, that's 100. We're actually literally changing lives of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
It's the real, we were talking about, I think we've come up with a few t-shirts. Eventually we'll have them, but it was talking about just like the truth of what currency really is. And it's usually either in service or an invention, right? And really just like honoring that and kind of making that the new fad. The ripple effect. That's what we do.
Love that.
Honestly, that's the stuff that keeps me like going. Like, I think I take feeling like I work for a higher purpose, keeps me going, and I need that, whether people think it's silly or not. I just like have to have that. And when I sit back and realize that I've had hundreds of people come try a rig or something that they thought was impossible, especially in Maine, because it's not easily accessed. It's still like a luxury art form that you pay a fair amount of money in bigger cities to access. That's just what it is. And so to know that I'm doing that, that's the currency. That's the stuff that kind of like gets me going when I don't have money, we'll say. Or like when I don't have time or I'm injured. Like that's been a thing lately. I've been having to work around some injuries, delegating, things like that. And so that's like the real currency. It's just remembering those like, and those are like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're epic. This is why we do what we do, because it feels so freaking epic and amazing. Danielle, you had a really interesting thing happen. So the little cards that we use sometimes with the random questions fell. And so I feel like we need to take that divine guidance and pick a card for us to answer in this last 10 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah, we haven't done it in like, I don't know, like 3 months or something. It's just something we did every show, and then we just stopped because the conversation is just so like we've got our vibe. And so they fell everywhere. And so I just kind of picked them up. And so we're going to go ahead and read these. If you could have anyone else's smile, whose smile and would you want? Whose smile?
I mean,
If I had
I got one.
Jolie's mouth, I look like her. We're twins.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
So random.
I always think because of thinking of the Joker with Val Kilmer and Batman and Jack Nicholson. His smile is just like
When you said it, that's the smile I saw in my head. Totally. But I love him for his eyebrows. So
Okay.
yeah, those are like special.
I don't know that it would be like a specific person. I just always I gravitate to multiple people who is when they smile, you feel them, right? Like I want to have a smile that feels authentic. When you smile, people actually feel the gesture. That's what
He says that she has perfect teeth. Oh wait, I don't have perfect teeth, so I went for the lady with like
really hard for these freaking teeth. I had like braces for like, I don't know, crazy like 12, 14 years, insaneness. So, well, stir teeth.
Trinity, I
was just making a joke.
I like your idea, Trinity, and I was going the same direction. Like, no one came to me as a specific person, but when someone truly smiles or when someone truly laughs, that's a cool thing, right? And so I think, and it's not like some people do truly smile and truly laugh. We all have that ability, and in certain relationships or in certain situations, we're uninhibitedly alive. And to me, that's the best smile, right? Is when situation or a person or both or circumstances allows us to like let our guard down and truly smile. That's a cool moment.
Yeah. You know those times where you smile so much, so big for so long that your cheeks literally like I love that feeling when my cheeks hurt and like I'm like gaining wrinkles by the second because I can't stop smiling. And like it's totally okay with me because I love it. It's just like the best feeling ever.
Well, and it's really endearing, especially when a person is I'll say this, like my client interactions are on a continuum, like they're a little more on the serious end of the spectrum, right? Like people are wanting to improve their well-being. They're paying good money for my help, right? We're not joking around isn't like the default baseline of our conversations, but when we get to know each other more and let our guards down and there's that rapport, and this can happen with colleagues of mine as well. When someone, when they can't hold it back, when something genuinely makes them smile or genuinely makes them laugh, that's a very cool thing.
Yeah.
I'll say the same thing for myself. Like I'm, by conditioning, I think is probably the best way to say it. I can be a serious person, and when I'm in a situation where I can truly let go and truly have fun and truly smile or laugh or something like that, like it feels like a gift from the people who helped me get there and life itself or whoever else was involved.
I was just talking to one of my friends recently, and I said in passing, I was like, oh, I can always tell when someone's in love with me because they'll like comment how they love my smile. And I don't have a conventionally nice smile. Like it's nice. I'm not saying it's not, but I don't have like just like straight teeth, kind of just conventional mouth. It's even a little lopsided, but my lips are unique. And my face is an actual duck face without making a duck face. And everyone thinks I'm making a duck face, but it's my actual face. And so I know that I'm unique. So, but I can always tell when someone's super into me because they'll make all kinds of comments about my mouth and my smile. And that's how I know. And I was just like, oh, if I'm really honest with myself, I can tell when someone's into me because they comment on my mouth a lot. That was one of my response of like self-awareness.
Or I love those comments, and I love giving these compliments and pointing these out to people where like when you get them, you can tell that someone has been like really paying attention, right? It's not just like, hey, I like your outfit, or it's like the genuine things that you're like, oh, they noticed. And it feels good to be noticed at a deeper level than just like our outside avatar.
Yeah.
Or like what we're talking about. I mean, even honestly, I think even a compliment, someone pointing out about what we're talking about is good too, because it tells me that they're like really into the conversation. They're actually listening, and that just like fires me up and makes me like want to actually talk more and have this conversation more. So I love that.
Yeah.
I knew I liked someone recently because I was obsessed with their hands. And I'm an artist. I've seen beautiful people everywhere. Like, and I've painted them, and like I've been painted, and so it's just like I'm not easily swayed, let's say.
Yeah.
So I find like really quirky things. As you said, I would travel and I would find the quirky building that nobody saw. And so that was like, it was his hands. It was the way he like moved his hands. I was just obsessed. And so I love that because it really does show how we kind of indeed layer and really get to know people, and it's their beauty becomes like quirky little gestures or comments or just kind of how they see the world, right? That's always nice as well. Well, here's the next question.
Oh, next question. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. If you could live in any house featured in a TV show or movie, whose house would you call home? Think of terms the physical house, not the household environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick with Batman and go with Wayne Manor.
That's a smart answer.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? This is going to sound like really insane. We were watching shows once about living off grid. And it's always so intriguing to me because I think that like it offers such a different level of solitude, that when you have the amenities like electricity and running water and, like internet, like I would love to have a space that I call my own, that I could travel to get that level of solitude. So it could potentially be like living off grid, and it's so simple. And I think that's like why I like camping so much, because the way we camp is like you go find a random spot in the woods off a beaten path, and then you pop a tent up and you make your own fireplace, and that's what you do because it offers like a whole different level of solitude. So that's what I would pick. I think I'd pick an off-grid space.
Nice.
So you would pick Maine master cabins where they redo cabins in Maine.
Yeah, as long as I make someone.
Because I think it's a show. It's a show. I feel like that's a legit
Yellowstone.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yellowstone's
Yeah.
got a pretty sweet setup out in Montana.
Okay, Montana. I need to put that on the books. What about you, Jason?
I'm having a hard time thinking of a specific place. And I'm also having a hard time with the part of the question that was like it's about the physical location, not like the vibe of the home.
It says the physical house, not
Yeah.
the household environment.
Yeah, because my first thought was the apartments from Friends, because I liked that they were like there was one apartment was across the hall from the other, and they could pop into each other's apartments. Like I like that. I like that, but that's more about the living space than the.
I think that's a cool point, though. Like, goodness, I would love to just like live that life for maybe like a couple of weeks, because that is just epic. That's epic. Like, I didn't go to college in like a dorm and stuff, so I miss like that somewhat aspect of it, and that was always like sort of intriguing to me.
We would tell I've lived in cities. Even if you come to my condo now, Graham, you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
It literally, like, you're like, is this still me?
Right.
Like I have just I can't explain it. I do know what living like that is. So what came to me was actually when they got stuck on the island and they had to make the like tree houses. Because I'm an aerialist, so the idea of like just like let's get real, like that's where my mind went. But also like a horror film or like a suspense thriller, which is questionable. But like that glass house thing, she was like out in nowhere and the house was just stunning. Could you imagine just seeing nature, just walking around your house and it was just like you were outside? Like that concept, right? Like where the nature's in and out kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Those were my immediate thoughts, was being abandoned on a desert island or being in the woods in a glass house.
I love that. I can't wait to travel the world more because I think that will build my bank of places that I would want to live in.
I love it.
Yeah.
And we've definitely had some
For 5 weeks, because that's how long it takes to an experience.
Right.
Count. Did you hear that, folks? So today's journey has been this. Travel for work, if you can, so you're still making money, and live like regular schedule somewhere else. And that way you're building value for your own personal soul, but then also appreciating your home better. And that the currency is in your ripple. So how many people have you positively affected, not how many dollars did you make, and have faith that that will turn into what it needs to. And that the real wealth is buying coaches. That's where wealth is outsourcing, getting your personal assistant when you need one. Things like that. I would really, 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 really want someone to market me. I have an intuitive pull that I'm going to go viral soon. And everywhere I read is should have one small affordable product for when that moment happens. And so I just have this like intuition. The numbers are just really kind of like poking at me a little bit. So anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about myself now, but that's what you guys learned today.
Yeah, it's all about investing in yourself and taking those chances, experience life, one day at a time. And hopefully this podcast shines some inspiration for all you listeners to plan that trip. Like you've been on the fence, but now hearing this, it's like, okay, we're gonna go do it. Maybe not 5 weeks, but go to a new place. I challenge you all who are listening to go to a new place and then take that experience back into your life when you return. So thank you all for listening. My name is Graham. I'm the owner of Valüd Productions. You can find me at valudproductions.com. That's VALUD Productions. And same thing with social media at Valüd Productions. Happy to connect with anybody. Joined with my awesome co-host today.
Hey everyone, I'm Trinity Baker. I am a mindset coach. I help people go from survival mode to thrival mode with my Ignite Your Life program. So if you are ready to stop being stuck, I am your gal. You can find me on all social media platforms, The Trinity Baker, as well as my brand new revamped website that has so many free resources. It is amazing. TheTrinityBaker.com. And I'm joined here with my amazing co-host.
Hi, my name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. You can find me online at arialjade.com. You can live chat with me, or you can find me on social media, same, Aerial Jade or Aerial Jade Art. That's Ariel, like in the air, not the princess. However, I did recently perform as Ariel. So if you want to check that out, find me online. We are here with our awesome guest.
I'm Jason Gootman. I'm a wellness coach. If you're trying to upgrade your self-care, trying to boost your well-being, and you're struggling to do so by yourself, I'd love to be your wellness coach and be your ally and guide and support you through that process. You can find me online. Name of my business is Puvema, Puvema, and my website address is simply puvema.com. And if you look up Jason Gootman or Puvema on social media, you'll find me there.
Jason, so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for listening to the Unfiltered Path podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow and like and all those things where you listen to podcasts, and share with your friends. And we will see you next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.